Massive game this morning here in Aisha Park against Kiltimagh. A win would have brought us within 2 points against Ballyhane. It was looking good, but a late response from Kiltimagh denied us that opportunity. How do you sum it up?
Disappointing. Still fresh, to be honest. It's a hard one to take now, to be honest. I think we played well for 90% of the game. Just fell asleep for 2 goals. Set piece at the end. You can see it from a set piece, always disappointing, but what was at stake? You know, it is what it is, and we just have to push on. I suppose I know it's very cliche, but keep moving on.
And the goals, it was a perfect ball from Pat Moran to their birthday boy himself, Dylan Durant, who had us 1-0 up 6 minutes before half time. And then the second goal, Sean Heaney won the ball, then he was involved in 1-2, then played the ball into Adam to make it 2, and things were looking good at that point.
Yeah, 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline though. It's playing well. I thought Sean Heaney and Killian White today were unreal in the middle of the park. They were first to everything. I thought they dictated the play. I thought we were fairly well set up tactically, and you know, as I said, 2 sloppy goals to concede.
And the next one is away to Ballyhane, and a win there would obviously bring the gap down to a solitary point going into the final game, which is going to be a huge ask. But as they say, you just don't know what might happen in the last game if things work out.
That's it. You just have to keep playing, pick up as many points as you can. But I suppose in the bigger picture, you know, with the young squad, there's been plenty of positives this season. I think we can just improve on consistency levels of our performances. I think next year, you know, if we can get things right and lads keep putting in the same efforts, I've no doubt we'll be well up there again. But play for as many points as we can now. Heads up.
Yeah, it is important, really, which will build confidence in the younger lads. Even if we don't win a trophy, at least you can sense there is a priority of development, and there has been a lot of positives throughout the season in that sense. Players coming in, players doing well.
Oh, for sure. I think the one positive I suppose I would take out of it is, you know, I know it's not great to be losing in games, but we've came back in a good few games this year where we've been down a goal or 2, and you know, maybe this time last year we might have lost them games, and you know, this year we've shown real good character and fight, and that's from everyone, from the older lads to the younger lads. So that's, I suppose, positive. But we can just tighten up back, not go behind, and just play to our strengths.
Thank you very much. 2-0 up on 69 minutes, looking good. Kiltimagh turns the game on its head, takes it back to 2-2. How do you sum it up?
Disappointing, obviously very disappointing. 2 up, like I said, on 69. They were, you know, they're right up there on merit. They've been playing well all season. They don't give in. We know that from the game up there. So we knew that they'd keep going to the end, and like that, so we were 1 up at half time. Sometimes it's nearly easier coming out when you know you can throw a bit of caution to the wind. You've nothing to lose. But you know, on the balance of play, I think we've probably definitely dropped 3 points there. Created some good chances, you know. But yeah, they came into it. We had a few forced changes, a couple of lads picked up a few knocks, but no excuses really. Like, I think just conceding the last goal was from a corner was very disappointing. It wasn't a great corner. It came in at a height that should have been cleared, really. It should have been dealt with. So that's the disappointing thing. Our lads know that. They're obviously not too happy. But look, it's on them. You have to go out and perform and deal with these things.
Positives from the game, that ball from Pat Moran into Dylan for the header to make it 1-0. Sean Heaney winning the ball in the middle, little 1-2 to slide in Adam Nugent to make it 2. But Dylan Durant's energy once again on the left. Killian White and Sean Heaney were both cited for good performances by James in his interview with me.
Yeah.
So, and Aaron Cannon looking steady when asked.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of good performance. In fairness, both teams, it was hard going, you know, in there. Like, you know, our midfield lads did well, but equally their lads did well in there, you know. So it was a tough battle. It was a good game, so you know it was intense stuff. But yeah, our lads did well. Sean came back in the middle. Harrison did well out wide. He's been asked to move out there, but yeah, there was positives, all right. But obviously, we're just to concede a goal like that at the end is it's a hard one to take.
So Ballaheen in 2 weeks' time, a win there will bring it down to a single point. So how do you get the lads motivated again after today?
Well, look at it. We said a few weeks ago we're just going to keep going one game at a time, take as many points as we can, and see where it takes us. And it's the same story still. You know, there's points to be played for. Ballaheen dropped points last night. They were leaking a few goals. So I don't think it'll happen yet. It's not, you know, it's not over till it's over, as they say.
So the important thing really is keep the belief in going in the dressing room for the lads to do as well as they can in the last 2 games, away to Ballaheen and here against Glenhest Rovers, and you never know what might happen.
Of course, yeah. We'll finish with as many points as we can, and look at it, a game's a game at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what stage of the season is. You want to win and play every game and try and come out on the right side of it.
Indeed, thank you very much.
Well done.
Matthew, an absolutely crazy game of football. One of the craziest games I've ever done on the live stream. 8-7. You got 2 goals, and the one when you cut in into the penalty area to finish low across the keeper, that had to be the pick of the goals for me throughout the game. How do you feel about the game yourself?
It was a bit of a cagey game. Everyone was scoring left, right and centre, and then we had a nice patch where we just got a lovely few good amount of goals, and then second half came on and they just got straight back into the game, and we just had to kind of put our heads down and try get another goal or two, and we got the goal near the end. Then lovely penalty by Dan.
And when you look at your season, it was tough moving up the division, players moving on. It was a tough year, losing games unlucky to lose in. The only other game I streamed was a draw against Rangers, but you signed off with a win. I say it'll be a happy dressing room to end your season.
It's happy dressing room, right, but just tough that we wanted to hit the ground running at the start of the season. We couldn't get the win, or even draw. We couldn't get one against Ackle. A lot of games though we should have maybe picked up 3 points or a point, but it is nice to get a 3 points at the end of the day, and I'm sure we're happy. So
when you look at your own season yourself, how did you find junior football and your experience of it?
It was a bit hard now, I'm not going to lie, at the start, but I kind of grew into it in the middle of the season, and sure, I got 2 goals today, so I'm happy out like with the all over display. So
at least the lads will be coming off the pitch now today with a lot of confidence and a bit of a spring in their step, and they got a well-deserved round of applause for their efforts in what was nearly like a basketball game in terms of scores, but the right result.
And it was just so end to end, really. Yeah. It was just so much goals. I don't think I've ever seen a game, even played in a game where it's just been goal. It's mighty.
And it was so end to end for me personally that got the new tripod last week in Letterkenny, and the panning it did, it actually loosened it out. So when it felt stiff during the first team game this morning, it's certainly loose now, but it was a great game to watch and a great advertisement for the division. And many thanks for playing your part in making such a spectacle of a game today. Thank you. The craziest game of the season, a 15-goal thriller. End to end, goals, shots, you name it. Great advertisement for the division. Is that how you sum today's game up?
Yeah, we like to entertain the Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, all right. We were winning by 4 goals, and then we decided to take the foot off the gas a little bit, and lucky in the end to get away with the win.
But it was certainly a good race to sign off your season. That was tough all the way through. The games you were unlucky in. The only other game I streamed was the one against Rangers, in which you were 2-1 up at the end. Rangers nicked an equaliser, but the 2 games I did stream were the only 2 games you didn't lose.
You're our official mascot from now on, Kenneth. Yeah, would you believe it? You know that game where we conceded in injury time here against Rangers?
Yes.
After that, we had 5 games in a row after that where we conceded in injury time, and we'd have finished 3rd in the league if we hadn't conceded those goals. So that's how tight the division was. Most people would probably look at our results and say we had a shocking season, but in fact we played some really good football, and we were competitive in pretty much every game except maybe for a couple. But there's another group of young players that have come through now and have got a taste of adult football, and that's what it's all about.
And of course, the big progression story from this team this season was undoubtedly Keane Halpin, who ended up playing first team football of late. So that has been the big progression story for this group this season.
Yeah, but you can imagine that if you could get one player every year, that's all that's needed. And Keane's a good lad. He's fast and he's technically very good. And it was obvious that he's a good player. You've Dan O'Malley now here, who I think will make the progression. You've Noah Massey, who didn't play today. He was away on holidays. A lot of people probably haven't seen those two lads playing, but they're both just 16 years old. I think they're real players for the future as well. And then you have very, very, very good players who played with us for 2 or 3 seasons. Des, Hetridge, Sean Prenti. They're well capable of playing A football. And yeah, listen, this is the model. I suppose under 21 might be maybe a newer version of this next year, where we try and get as many of the talented young players together to see can we get them ready and primed to play A football.
Of course, it has been a very good project over the last 2 seasons with the C team, but entering the prospect of entering an under 21 team next season will be a different avenue to blow players through, and it's certainly exciting times again for the club.
It is. Well, the numbers are there for under 21, and the natural under 21 team next year is the team that Joe Fahey and Stephen Duffy brought up all along. So they're very familiar with those players. So Joe will be involved, and then my team, or the team that I had from 11 years old, the likes of Sean Prenti and Des and Ted and Dylan and Harrison and all those lads, Killian White, they'll be so that group of players now will be under 21 next year. So we should be quite competitive, and it should be a great feeder for the A team.
Of course, and with some of the lads already having junior football experience the last 2 seasons, it'll actually make the under 21 side a pretty strong side and competitive side next year.
I would hope so, Kenneth, yeah, and particularly with a handful of them getting A team football, under 21 should not be a problem for them.
So we can sign off on the season on a good note, but we will certainly look forward to next season with excitement, promise, and see how the development goes in terms of players and natural progression, and we'll look forward to see more players making the breakthrough.
Yeah, and a personal note, Ken, thanks to yourself for streaming all the games. It's a great service, and it's great to see you here. With the camera, every time we see you, it puts a smile on my face, and you're getting better and better at it. Just to say thanks to you.
Indeed, you're welcome. But and to be honest, I only got this new tripod last week in Letterkenny, and it's certainly losing out after the 2 games. It's kind of stiff starting off, and with the panning, and it's kind of jumpy, but it kind of really loosened out. But once you get the hang of it, it gets easy. But when you move on into the games, I do enjoy the streaming, and to be honest, a lot of the people who do tune in do enjoy it. Yeah, and it keeps you in touch with all the players. So no matter who plays with the A's or B's now, you know them because you're streaming all the games. Yeah, and it's a good service. So thank you, Kenneth. And you're welcome. It's nice to sign off with a win for this particular group of players, because they certainly deserved more wins during the year. So it's nice to finish with the win. Okay, thanks very much yourself. Thanks, Ken.